All right, here we go. This is Manitou Springs City Council. This is a regular meeting, and today is February 3rd, 2026 at 6 p.m. And so with that, I call this meeting to order. And before I begin, I just wanted to make a couple statements. First, I just wanted to mention the loss of Steve Hart. Steve was a former fire chief for the community from 1977 to 1996. And he protected this community through his work with the fire department, but in other ways as well throughout his life. And so I just want to recognize that loss to our community. And I do believe that our current fire chief will say a few words about him later today. I also wanted to mention that the town of Kiowa lost their mayor a few weeks ago, and we have a card that we're sharing with their city, and we just want to mention and acknowledge the loss of their leader. Additionally, regarding a Black History Month proclamation, we do have one in the works that we will be reading soon, and we do want to recognize that our current administration is openly working to replace American multiculturalism with white nationalism, and so we will be addressing that this month in celebration of Black History Month. And so with that, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and now the roll call.
City Council members John Shada.
Here.
Julie Wolf.
Here.
Nate Nassif.
Present.
Carrie Storm.
She is excused.
Gloria Latimer. Present. Mayor Pro Tem Judith Chandler.
Present.
And Mayor Natalie Johnson.
Here. Okay, and now approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
And a second?
Second.
All right, and a vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Excellent. Thank you, Elena. And now on to public comment. We do have a few speakers this evening. First, I invite Joan Stang up to the microphone. Joan, I know you've done this before, so I think you know the drill, the 3 minutes, and excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Joan Stang, 204 Crystal Park Road. Greetings, Mayor and City Council members. As you may know, I am the Volunteer Education Chair for Pedestrian and Cycle Manitou. I'm here today to ask for your help disseminating walk audit, motorist and bicyclist safety information that we have collaborated with COS Walkability and Bike Colorado Springs to disseminate throughout El Paso County. In fact, Pac-Man has created a safety ed toolkit for each of you today. And if I may, I'd like to leave each of you a packet before I walk away and finish my statement. This safety information teaches both motorists and bicyclists how to share the road lawfully and safely, and how to create more walkable and bikeable communities. It also teaches pedestrians and cyclists how to safely share multi-use paths. I'd like to thank Denise Howell, Chief Otto, and Council Member John Shada. All have taken bicycle-friendly driver training, which is now offered free online with the League of American Bicyclists. Pac-Man has also shared all of this information with each and the current Mobility and Parking Director. Also note that we collaborated with Bike COS to create a resources webpage at bikeColoradosprings.org under the Learn More and Resources tab, where you may find links to videos with trail etiquette and e-biking safely information, plus other resources and downloadable documents to include documents that you are being provided today. Also note that we also worked with the City of COS, Bike COS, Trails and Open Space Coalition, and Medicine Wheel Trail Advocates to create a set of 5 trail etiquette signs. We'd be willing to share out those examples. Our ultimate ask is that you help Pac-Man, Bike COS, COS Walkability, and the entire community. Build a culture of driving, cycling, and multi-use trail use that is both courteous and lawful. We cannot do this alone. Thank you.
Thank you. Certainly. Yep, that would be great. And actually, that gives me time to grab a pen. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have Jeremy Wilson. Jeremy, have you spoken with us before? Okay, so you're going to push the button until you see the green light. Yeah, just pick one and see what happens. All right, there you go. All right, and then just make sure you speak clearly into the
Yes,
microphone.
ma'am. I'll try.
Perfect.
Good. All right.
And your name and address, please.
Oh, yes, ma'am. My name is Jeremy Wilson. I live at 1013 Modes Avenue, apartment number 1, 80904. It's 2.1 miles from where I'm sitting right now, I believe. And the reason I'm here is because I committed a boo-boo and didn't realize it. According to y'all's street performing basic regulations here, it says no amplifiers allowed. Well, I'm not here to ask permission because I have this, which is the United States Constitution, which guarantees me free speech, freedom of assembly, all sorts of freedoms in this. I don't have time in 3 minutes to get through all of it, but I realized after the fact that me playing my electric amplifier was against y'all's rule. I feel that rule is unconstitutional. I have the right. May I stand? Is that okay?
So we do need you to speak into the microphone, so you would need to pick it up. You can pick it up.
Well, I'm trying to show something. I have the
Okay.
right to freedom of expression. We can all agree that's been codified, gone through the courts. I can freely express myself with this, which is an acoustic drum. As I walk down the sidewalk, whenever I want to, that's not illegal. You cannot criminalize a constitutionally protected activity. That's what this law saying no amplifiers has done, because my new piece of kit, my drum machine that I choose to use to express myself artistically, religiously, however I need to do it, I have the right to freedom of expression and a traditional public forum. To do this, I have to use a speaker, either a speaker or an amplifier. In y'all's code, ordinance number 0323, section 2 is my savior, because section 2 states that if anything is found to be unconstitutional, the rest of it is still expected to uphold. But I find the section that says no amplifiers to be unconstitutional on its face alone. And I also find on public benches, are you trying to tell me that I can't express myself freely on your public bench? I can walk down the street on the sidewalk in a traditional public forum, express myself. But
I
when
know.
I choose to sit on a bench, I'm somehow now a criminal. I find fault with that whole premise, and I would like to have it addressed. I'd like to have the rules and laws changed to be constitutional, please, because too many people have fought and died for this piece of paper right here for y'all to write rules and ordinances that superseded. I don't think that's allowed. I'm pretty sure it's not. I've got case law. I've got several examples. I gave y'all the packet. Saya versus New York is 1949. Excuse me, I don't have my glasses. You've got the one where the guy can burn the flag. I hate that somebody can burn the flag, but that's constitutionally protected speech. If somebody can do something like that, I can certainly use my amplifier for my drum machine to be heard.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And typically, we do not respond to
Oh, I
public
didn't know
comment,
how that works.
but we do have your contact information.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
thank you. And I do not believe that when Joan Stang spoke that we read her address into the record. And so do you have that information, Kristen? Okay, thank you very much. All right, next up, we have Carol Campbell. Carol, would you like to? Or would you like to? I have two for you. I have one with you and I have one with you and Julia. Would you like to do it together? Perfect, okay.
So we're actually here to talk about something that is on the agenda.
Understood. Thank you.
Sorry.
Nope, you're great. Excellent. And then Mike Casey. All right, thank you, Mike. And I believe you also understand all the details of this moment.
I do, thank you.
Okay, so your name and address, please.
Mike Casey, 315 Crystal Hills Boulevard. And before I start, I just want to say thank you for everything that you guys do. I'm well aware of how much time and effort and volunteering goes into, and Special shout out to my ex-colleagues, Gloria, and Carrie. I don't know why they decided to go down to city council when they were at the apex, but I'm happy for you. Anyway, I'm here to seek information about the upcoming vote. I'll spare you my opinion. I will tell you that I could care less who owns those lots, but what's going on has a major impact on me directly, which is what I want to talk about. I own a building right across the street from the Wichita lot. There's my business is in there, another commercial business, and my main concern is the tenant in the back. She loves living there. That's her home, and she's very safe and content. She pays a monthly fee in a lot just like I do, and we both pay $24 a month, which equates to about 75 cents a day. And I'm deeply concerned about the future. And I've been following this vote closely. If the information is out there that I seek, I apologize, but it doesn't seem to me that anyone has talked about what the rates are going to be, what you guys are going to do if you win the vote. So just rough numbers, at $24 a month, I pay $288 a year to park 24/7. If you guys bump it up to a conservative $10 a day to park there, that's $300 a month or $3,600 a year. My tenant has already told me she's out. She can't afford it. She can't afford to live in downtown Manitou Springs. If I can't afford to rent that space, if I can't provide convenient, inexpensive parking options to my tenant, I'm in a world of hurt. If I can't rent that space out, I can't keep the building. If I can't keep the building, I can't keep my business. If I can't keep my business, I can't keep my house. This is a big deal for me. Again, if at $3,600 a year, that's a small estimate. I'm guessing if it's $20 a day, which is not unreasonable, we're talking $7,200 a year. If my tenant leaves, I have to eat that times two. You get the idea. It's unsustainable for me. That to me is the beauty of the Metro, is keeping the rates ridiculously low. All right. I'm well aware of the ordinance. I believe it was an ordinance you guys just passed. To be blunt, that created more questions than answers for me, but I think it's a step in the right directions. So here are the three questions that I have. Will the city allow monthly rates or monthly parking? I assume like a reduced monthly, and how much will that be? Will overnight parking be allowed? That's critical, not just to me, but to a lot of people downtown that are going to vote on this issue. And will I be grandfathered in? That would be great. That would be respectful. That would be fair. That may be an unreasonable request, but I do know that, like when we passed the short-term rental, for example, everyone else that was in place before that ordinance was grandfathered in. Maybe that could happen now. Nate, I know this is your ward. Maybe you can help me out. I'd appreciate the answers from somebody sometime, or at least, if not the answers, how I can get them. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. And if you'd like, I believe the Felipe is in the audience. He's the director of our Parking and Mobility Department, and he could potentially answer some of your questions as well this
Great.
evening.
Thank
Thank you.
What's his name?
Sorry, Denise would like to jump
I
in.
think just from a public perspective, it's important to answer a couple of those. Before the Metro, when we used to do the Wichita, you and I talked, we did the rates then, and it's cheaper than what the Metro is charging now. So we'll go back to that same thing, if not less. So remember, you had a monthly and you could park there overnight, et cetera. We'll go back to the same thing, which is about $48 less than what the Metro is charging now per year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Let's see. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to comment on a non-agenda item? Okay, I do have one public comment that I need to read into the record. This is from Curtis Crawley, and unfortunately, he is not in the vicinity tonight, so he was not able to participate virtually, and so I'm just going to read his comment. To Mayor Johnson and the entire Manitou City Council, I would like to alert you to my negative experience with our recent code enforcers after the municipal court dismissal with prejudice in my favor regarding my properties at 18 Delaware Road and 19 Fox Path Road, as well as last Tuesday's video conference with 3 of your personnel. Please review the actions of all involved departments and individuals since March 15th, 2024, or earlier if you can find them. My core request responses are pending. The manner in which I have been pursued is not consistent with proper noticing protocol and is also likely in violation of U.S. postal regulations as well. Kindly cease and desist immediately with any further harassment or abatement action. And then it just says no text, please. And so just to recognize that we have received this, and I know that staff is aware. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have our consent calendar. We do have 4 items on the consent calendar. We have our January 20th City Council regular meeting minutes, our January 23rd special meeting minutes. We have our request to change Michael Quintana from a regular to alternate member of the Housing Advisory Board. And then we have consideration of a tavern liquor license renewal at 934 Manitou Avenue, Manitou Restaurant Group, Inc., doing business as Border Burger Bar. And just a note, we have been instructed not to remove item number 4 to remove it from the consent calendar. It is being handled at the state level. So this is just simply a item we need to consent to. And so I just want to make a note of that. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Just a point of clarification,
Mhm.
number 4 is not a part of the consent calendar.
It is a
then?
part of the consent calendar, but we've been asked to leave it there. So if you have any additional questions regarding this one, that's something that would probably happen outside of this meeting. But per the state code, we have to approve it via consent. And can you jump in, Elena, a little on this one? I'm sorry, I'm probably making this more complicated than I need to, but
Yeah, so when a liquor license has a violation during the previous year, that it's required to be brought forth to city council for renewal. It's on consent because the city can't give any more violation or penalties in addition to what the state's already given. So at this point, the case is closed with the state, and so we can renew it. But if you guys would like to have a hearing to hold evidence on why it shouldn't be renewed, then we would need a motion to move to schedule a hearing.
that was much better stated. Thank you. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move approval of the consent calendar.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. And a vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Excellent. Okay. So next up, we have the second reading of a hearing. So second reading and public hearing of ordinance number 0126, an ordinance of the City of Manitou Springs, Colorado, adding a new chapter 3.55 to the Manitou Springs Municipal Code to implement a cost recovery mechanism for emergency and non-emergency services provided by the Manitou Springs Fire Department in response to accidents involving motor vehicles. And I believe we do have the fire chief. Excellent, thank you. I know we've been through this twice, but if you want to refresh our memory, let's do it again, just for fun.
Hi, Keith Buckmiller, your fire chief.
Okay, so I believe that some of the questions that we've had are just confusion around the motor vehicle piece, but I feel like that's been clarified. I think all questions at this point have sort of been addressed. Do you want to give a quick summary, or do you feel like, how are we feeling, council? Are we feeling pretty good? Let's just give a,
The summary would just be that we're just trying to find a means by which we can recover for some of our high cost events that presently we've been eating the cost of. I know we had some conversations about how that would be billed. So I'll stress again that the insurance company only would be addressed in the billing process, not the occupant, not the driver. And if there's an uninsured driver, there won't be any bill generated. It's strictly against this facet that exists in the insurance companies throughout.
Okay. Julie?
Hi, Keith.
Hi, Council.
I just have a quick question. When I was reviewing this, which was a couple of days ago, so my memory is a little fuzzy, but I thought I saw something that referred to the negligent driver or the liable driver. My question is, if we have an accident that's the result of black ice and there's no finding of negligence necessarily, it's just it happened, are we still able with the ordinance as written? I guess this is really a question for city attorney. Are we still able, Jeff, to go forward and submit the claim to the driver's insurance company?
But I don't think it really relies on negligence. It's just basically, who's responsible for the accident. And so it says the party at fault is the word that's used in here. So, my understanding is it would be against the party at fault and the fact that they weren't driving carefully enough with black ice, or they weren't driving with the appropriate conditions. It's going to be the party that caused the accident. So-
Okay, because sometimes that fault is different from the party that caused the accident, and I didn't know if that required any clarification in the ordinance.
I guess I did actually have this conversation with Chief Buckman before. Like, who are you going to go against? How are you going to decide who's at fault and all that kind of? So, I guess I'm not sure how we would change it further, because causing an I don't know if there's any better way of saying it, to be honest with you. I think that the ordinance really authorizes the cost recovery mechanism. I don't think we need to clarify it down to the nitty gritty, because I think it's just going to make it even more difficult, frankly.
Okay,
That's very insightful, that comment you just, the question that you're asking. If there is an accident in the hillside or in city that is a claim against their insurance company for their comprehensive and or their collision, that in itself is what we are looking to attach to.
Right.
So if it's a black ice and no one's issued a ticket, they still have a carrier, and that carrier is still going to be picking up the costs for our recovery.
right. Well, see, I did car accident litigation for 5 years. And so I specifically remember the jury instructions on fault and black ice and that kind of thing. And, if somebody runs into you because of weather being so bad, that person isn't necessarily at fault. And I didn't know if the insurance company would be able to weasel out of reimbursing the city because of the wording that was used. So I just wanted to flag that, and maybe, it'll never be a problem, but
Okay, yes, I hear what you are saying. For me, I no longer call them traffic accidents, I call them traffic collisions. Because if you're driving on black ice, I've never wrecked in black ice. I don't know if any of you have not wrecked in black ice, but I think that if you take your proper due diligence, you should be able to drive or know the conditions are at fault. I think that what we were talking about for the fault and liability portion of it is if I cause a wreck to your car in the past, and I'm X insurance company and your Y insurance company, X is going to pay for the damages or the recovery for both of our vehicles.
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, because I actually sort of struggled a bit with how we're going to word this. And a lot of the language came from the company that we are hopefully going to be engaging to recover for these. And that's the language they used. And so I had a similar question, but, I guess if there is truly no fault, it's not, you can hit black ice, it can be your fault, right? You can slide off a road in a snowstorm, it can still be your fault. So I guess if there's truly nobody at fault here, perhaps that would not be recoverable.
that's certainly the position I would anticipate the insurance company will take.
But I guess to follow up on that, we could basically just say recovery could be made against any party that receives services, regardless of fault. But then I guess that was another question I had asked, was like, well, what if somebody is hit by somebody they receive services, are you gonna go after that individual who like
Well,
didn't
they
get
would
it?
subrogate it. It doesn't really matter because there would be a subrogation claim, right?
Potentially, I mean,
Like if my company pays to fix my car and they pay,
they,
but you're the one who caused the accident, they'll get reimbursed by your company, right? The subrogation case. So, you know, so that doesn't bother me so much. But I just didn't know if you wanted to look at that, but it doesn't matter to me really that much. I just wanted to point out that I noticed that there is a provision, the way you've worded it, insurance companies, could and would, say, we're not liable, sue us. If there were a situation where they thought they could just blame it on the weather. Now, obviously, if you're driving too fast, that's different, but if you're, you know,
well, you know, I think my understanding from what Chief Buckmiller said they were gonna do is they were gonna look at the reports, they're gonna decide who's responsible, who's quote at fault, and then seek recovery from their policy. Well, I guess to follow up, I mean, if there's truly like nobody at fault, would you even pursue this or would you not? Truly, I mean, I don't know how many cases that is out of,
well, the case would be if I can jump in, my scenario would be like if there's a one-car accident and I'm driving down from like Manitou Ave toward the Commonweal, you know, that steep hill. And if the car and I'm going 2 miles an hour, but I skid right up into the Commonweal, I'm not necessarily at fault, but my vehicle caused the accident. So I didn't know if you wanted to say, or caused the property damage, or caused the need for rescue services to be provided by the fire department. So I didn't know if you wanted to make that language a little more flexible so that the insurance companies wouldn't be able to weasel out of it.
I
But
think you just use decent language, which would be, you know, the party causing the need for services. Then that's not at fault.
solve the problem.
And then, I mean, I don't think it hurts, to be honest with you. So I'm happy to make that change if you wanted to put that as part of a motion at some point. I don't think it matters, does it, chief? I mean,
Well, we need to keep it kind of open from the standpoint that if a tree takes out a car and ruptures their fuel tank, because we have some big trees in our area, and so that would be an act of God. And that would still be a no fault, but there still be a claim against the insurance for so I think that if a claim is going to be generated against an insurance company, the sidebar would be that there'd be some recovery costs for the fire department.
Well, if that's your anticipation, then I would make a motion to adopt this subject to, I mean, when it's time. We have to have public comment, subject to the language that our city attorney had proposed as an alternative, just to, that way the wording fits into what you're saying.
Okay, excellent. And Counselor Latimer?
First of all, thanks for the clarification of language, collisions and crashes and wrecks rather than accidents. So appreciate that terminology. And are most of the time police called, and so therefore you'd have a police report that determines who's at fault?
That is accurate, and I've already had a conversation with Police Chief Otto to see how we can streamline that reporting mechanism so we will know who was the person that was generated.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions before we open the public hearing? Okay. And so with that, if you'd like to step aside for
I would
a
love to
moment.
step aside.
Okay. All right, and I now open this up. Would anyone from the audience like to speak on this matter? Okay, 6:29, we open that up. Do we have anyone online that would like to comment on this item? Okay, I now close the public hearing at 6:30 PM. Okay, and any additional questions before we get a motion on the table? Okay, and Julie, would you like to take a lead on this?
Okay.
I mean, I have the language here, right? So if you'd like me to, well, just the party causing the need for services was the
Okay, move
suggestion.
to approve ordinance 0126, subject to a change in wording from fault wherever that appears in the ordinance to the party that caused, the parties whose vehicle caused the need for services.
Perfect.
So my recommendation would be the party causing the need for services. And it still applies to motor vehicle accidents.
Okay.
And then as a note, in the title, I think we're having a conversation about use of the word accident. And so the title of the ordinance finishes with in response to accidents involving motor vehicles. So I mean, if you want to avoid any kind of connotation by the word accident, it could be incident. So
Or
response to
collision.
incidents involving motor vehicles.
I think incident works.
Incident was good. So that would be also part of my motion to change
Okay.
accidents to incident.
Incident. Okay. And
Thank
do,
you, Jeff.
yes, actually, yes, thank you, Jeff. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and a vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you very much. Next up, we have second reading and public hearing of ordinance number 0226, an ordinance of the City of Manitou Springs, Colorado, amending provisions in Chapter 12.04 of the Manitou Springs Municipal Code to modify how encroachments into city right-of-way and other city-owned or controlled property are processed for review and approval. Okay, excellent. Here we go again. We have made a number of changes throughout the course of the last several conversations regarding this. I think we should be pretty close. But can you just give us a quick kind of synopsis of why we're here tonight?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor. For the record, Fred Rolandhagen, Planning Director. This is the second reading for the public hearing for ordinance number 0226. So there were a few, I won't go, I won't say the same thing over as we discussed in the first, during the first reading, but I'll just note the changes that have been made in this current draft that you have all what we're calling inadvertent existing encroachments will be heard or would be heard and decided by City Council. And so with that said, and also in addition to that, the ordinance cleans up Title 12 by clarifying the approval authority of the other types of encroachments that are identified. And that approval authority includes the city administrator. So with that said, there is an additional section at the end of the draft ordinance that is an appeal process. So we have added an appeal process for all encroachment types that are decided administratively. So if somebody feels aggrieved or wants to appeal it, they can appeal the city administrator's decision to City Council.
All right, do we have any additional questions or concerns regarding, yes, Counselor Wolf?
On the ordinance part, I'm looking at, oh goodness, 12.04.040, subsection let's see. Subsection, page 3 of 12, page 54 in the packet. Under F as in Frank. I just thought, in the memo, it clearly stated that the city administrator, when dealing with these temporary encroachments, would be reviewing and evaluating them and determining whether they should be approved. But the way this is worded, it says that they shall be approved. So I thought that it should say they should be, maybe she wants to deny one for some reason, but it makes it sound like they have to be approved. So I know, Jeff, you probably think I'm being really nitpicky. But I thought it should be permits for temporary encroachments shall be evaluated or assessed by the city administrator or the city administrator's designee for approval or something along those lines.
Shall be subject to city administrator approval. Subject to approval.
The subject to suggests that the administrator has discretion to not approve. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I think that, looking at the whole section, it's pretty obvious that she has
She's supposed to
discretion.
evaluate it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but it keeps saying it shall be approved, it shall be approved, it shall be approved by her. And I thought, oh,
Yeah,
if you
probably,
don't want to approve it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we can make that clarification.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Right.
Can I ask a quick question, Jeff? Did you say that you're going to change that to subject to approval? Is that what I'm hearing? you
Yeah,
say, in all those sections that it applies?
Right. I mean, the point is that that's the individual who makes the decision. And trying to pull up the whole ordinance because I just have, I mean, the whole section. Because I just have the revisions here, so.
We could say the city administrator, you know, or her designee is to evaluate whether to approve
Yeah.
or deny. Something, whatever.
Yeah. What I'm concerned about is probably like the whole chapter says that kind of generally throughout. So it may not just be the changes we made, right? So, in fact, about your whole city code has stuff like that in it.
Do you think, if you think it's unnecessary, then I'm fine.
Yeah, I totally understand your point. I think that it's pretty clear that she doesn't have to approve it because she's the one who's evaluating it based on staff comment. It just, the shall means that is the deciding body. So I see your point. I think we're okay. If somebody
Okay.
wants to make that argument, they're not going to win it,
Okay.
but I understand exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
And then there's city council approval if it's for a major encroachment in that section. Are you on section 5?
So where it says, so section 5, you said an easement is required for a major encroachment. And then city council approval of the easement shall be, is that where you?
Yes, just to clarify that
Okay.
city council approval is for a major encroachment.
Is for a major encroachment.
But yeah, I'm just trying to, I wish I had the whole section here in front of me with the red line. So I'm just trying to, that's why
I think we just need more people from the planning department to keep getting on council, just to make things fun.
So what she was saying is not accurate. It just says if an easement is required for a major encroachment, then city council approval of the easement shall be required.
So that's okay, because it's the easement
Yeah.
which references the, okay.
right.
So far, we're okay, we're okay, but we've caught a couple. Okay, interesting. All right, great. Okay, with that, do we have any other questions before I open it up to the public? Okay, it is 6:38 and I now open the public comment. Would anyone like to make a comment regarding, let's see what I have, the second reading of ordinance number 0226. And then Elena, is there anyone online? Okay, all right, excellent. And it is now 6:38 and I do close that public comment. And with that, do I have a motion to approve second reading of ordinance number 0226?
I move approval.
And a second?
Second.
All right, and a vote.
Councilor Latimer, can you make a decision? Motion carries unanimously.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have consideration of resolution number 0726, a resolution adopting an updated universal fee schedule. And Denise, I don't know if you'd like to introduce this based on some, oh, sorry, Becca, sorry, I apologize.
I can start it and then Becca can take over.
I think we
do
need a
wanna-
tag team right now, so yeah, thank you. If Denise, you'd like to start?
Yeah, I can start it and then Becca can take over. I do want to mention that Becca got the audit uploaded today on the city website. So the audit is done and
At the state.
uploaded. So that's a big thing. So congratulations, Becca, for that. Tonight, we met earlier today and you asked just for the yellow sections to be, and so we have a new one for you that those we need to for sure approve because they're increased costs for the city of Manitou Springs. Such things as changing mailing from 60 to 61 cents because the cost has gone up. So those are the ones. And then, of course, the fire department. And then Becca will talk about the other ones and then we'll defer to you for further conversation.
we supposed to be looking at the packet or?
At the one that was sent
paper?
out today. I would say the paper. That's the one that was sent out
So
today.
this is a
The paper
comprehensive-
is the one that was sent out earlier today. We just printed it for you all.
They're the same, just the paper one is the yellow, which you asked us to identify the yellow ones that were just based on a cost.
We're just addressing the yellowed items tonight?
Well, so just to clarify, so yeah, so this morning when Judith and I met with Denise and with Elena to discuss today's agenda, it came up that fee schedules are complicated things that sometimes require maybe a longer range approach and discussion regarding why we're charging what for each fee. So we requested that we back out of sort of the initial fee schedule that was presented and demonstrate one that just has the increases that are required based on the ordinances we approved today and some increases that are required by the state. And so those are highlighted in yellow. So those we would need to pass today. We can certainly discuss others, but we wanted to separate that out from the overall fee schedule, recognizing that it might be a good idea to discuss the fee schedule at an upcoming retreat or have some larger conversation around why we're charging what for different items in the schedule, if that helps. Great.
And I want to mention, we usually bring the fee schedule, the comprehensive fee schedule in the November, December timeframe. This year, we were not able to do that just due to staffing levels. So that's why it's this time of the year. Otherwise, it's always in that November, December timeframe. But there are those that were, since we were updating the fee schedule for the fire department, we went through and did that comprehensive that we normally do in that November, December timeframe.
Thank you.
So will you be looking for a motion to adopt the entire fee schedule or just the yellowed?
I think that it is up for all of us to discuss that,
Oh,
but
okay.
you have the ability to see what we would definitely need to do this evening versus
Okay.
what we can discuss at a future
That's
date.
helpful. I appreciate it.
Now me.
Excellent. Yes, thank you. Sorry.
So Rebecca Davis, Finance Director. Good evening. As Denise said, we normally update the universal fee schedule on an annual basis during the budgeting season, but due to staffing levels, this was delayed. And we're bringing it now because of the emergency services changes. The fee schedule that was provided today, which has changes highlighted in yellow, are the changes that are required based on increased cost of the city, alignment with the state statute, or it's associated with the ordinance that was approved tonight. And the ones that are not highlighted were based on pretty much mostly on inflation increases for the most part and are included for your consideration. So when you make your motion, you would state you per the highlighted changes. And if you have any questions about the other changes or any changes, actually, we do have all of the other department heads here to address those particular departments' changes.
All right. So, so again, thank you, Becca. You did a much better job than I did trying to explain what we have before us here today. So I guess with that, the question is, what sort of comfort level do we have right now discussing, again, approving the entire fee schedule? Or just looking at the necessary ones today with the understanding that that these other ones will need to be discussed at a future date. So, so I guess that's sort of the question before us. Yes. So, Counselor.
So, and thanks, Becca, for the analysis. My bias and preference is to include it at a later date. Yeah, not to move forward with approving something tonight.
I
Sorry.
agree
Okay.
that it would be helpful and perhaps if it's more convenient, it might work best at a work session rather than a meeting, but there are so many other things, and a lot of them when I was, even though I've been through this before, when I was reading the explanation, I still really wasn't sure what it was about. So I would appreciate keeping things focused on the yellowed necessities for tonight as well.
Thank you. Okay. And Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. When the mayor and I met with Denise this morning, our rationale for splitting this out was just as it presented, that there are some things obviously that we just need to raise. You know, postage went up, so those are things that we just look at, and those just need to be increased. But there are just a few things. But the entire fee schedule writ large, we felt that really we wanted to have all of council weigh in on the various increases so that we have broad representation of opinions before we move forward. So I think I agree with Councilor Wolf that a work session and or retreat would be a better venue to delve into these in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Becca, before we would go into a work session, it would be really helpful to me to have a rationale about some of the expenses, because particularly in event fees, there's substantial increases. In the planning department, there's substantial increases, and I don't know the rationale, how those increases were determined.
Well, for the planning department, I can say it's based upon personnel hours, based upon what their salaries they make. So it's really to recoup the cost of the personnel time and supplies, paper, etc. For special events, I imagine, but we do have Jillian here, that it's really based on comparisons to other venues that are equivalent to the cities.
Yeah, I was looking at like vendor fees and permits and things like that. And also in regards to planning, and again, we can go into a work session with this, like annexation went from, I think it was $1,000 to $8,000. So
That's a planning one?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is, I think there's an opportunity for some really interesting discussion around, again, priorities and what taxpayer dollars go to support and all of those different things. So I think it's going to be interesting, and I look forward to it. And I certainly look forward to getting input from the community as well. Councilor Shader, do you have anything to add? Okay, excellent. All right. With that, do I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move we postpone this item indefinitely.
So you don't like to, would you not?
Do you have a date certain you want it to be on?
I just would ask that we approve the highlighted items this evening so that we meet.
Highlighted items.
Right, so that would be the things impacted by the ordinance. So it's the ones impacted by the ordinance, and then the postal fee, and then there's a state fee that we have to adjust.
And there is the new water meter fee, but that is if you get a house and you put a new water meter, when you build a house, it's to pay the new fee. It's not to replace a meter. It's just to pay the new fee of a new water meter. So it's if you build a new house, then you pay that fee
And that's the cost of the
of the
meter,
meter.
Okay,
That's
what
it.
we're charged.
okay. So those are so that's what we're asking for. Certainly you can make whatever motion you'd like, but the one that I'm going to be suggesting is the one that I believe legally we have to approve this evening.
I guess I'll move that we approve the traffic and collision reimbursement section. I'm sorry,
Oh, it's okay. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I'm sorry.
I apologize that I put you in a situation where you're
No,
fumbling
you're
to-
right. You're okay. So I agree with those fees there. I'm a little shocked that it would that it's double the cost to do search, and that costs us twice as much to do that research. That I think needs to be further discussed. And I guess I would like to see all the charges that we've ever done in the last year with regard to that. as kind of backup documentation. So I guess that's the only thing I'm prepared to move on is the traffic and collision reimbursement section.
Mayor, if I may, the 4137 that's being changed for the fire department research and retrieval is actually what we are allowed to charge up based off of Cora policy in state statute. So that aligns with what city clerk and the police department charges.
But I don't agree with that charge, so I'm not making that as part of my motion. So
Thank you.
that's the only thing that I'm moving, that we approve the traffic and collision reimbursement and that we bring this search and retrieval and copying of the documents back for discussion. Thank you.
And what about
Do I
the
have a
new,
second?
what about the new encroachment fee that was approved at the ordinance tonight?
Is there another yellow section?
Yeah, I have a procedural question, which is, would it be acceptable to you, Mayor, if we, because there aren't that many yellowed sections, if we vote on each section independently rather than trying to come up with a smorgasbord of different sections to approve, because there aren't that many.
I mean, that would allow us to discuss each one so that there's an understanding of sort of why they're here this evening. So I'm
Just the yellow.
right.
Well,
Um,
I'm
could we take
sorry.
a motion?
Can I, Madam Mayor?
Certainly.
Can I, amend my motion? Because I did not have time to see this information. So I see there are additional things in the back here. So I'll amend my motion to also include the encroachment permit,
Mhm.
the postage fees,
Mhm.
and I'm sorry, thank you for helping me, and the water meters in 13.12.
So the only thing that is highlighted in yellow that you're not including this evening is the search, retrieval,
Copying of
and copying of
documents.
documents. Okay.
Yes, that's the only thing I'm not including in my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. And then with that, I would just like, Elena, just a little clarification. It is not, we're not required to have it be 4137, or are we required by the state?
No, we're not required. We are allowed to charge up to that.
Okay.
It just aligns with what we're currently charging for core requests fulfilled through the clerk's office and the police department.
Okay, but it is something that we could discuss at a further date.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. So with that, I have a first and a second. Are there any additional questions before we go for a vote?
Just can I make a comment?
Certainly.
The reason I'm in favor of postponing a vote or including the increased cost for Cora requests is so that we can get more information on how those numbers were established. For me personally, if I'm persuaded that the hourly rate is equivalent to what it would cost to reimburse the staff who are doing the work, then I would be comfortable with it because I believe that's consistent with how many of the other increases in here have been determined, but because we don't know, or if it has to do with the cost of paper has doubled or something, although it's usually done electronically, I think. But that's why, I just wanted to explain why I'm in favor of excluding that at this time, and then hopefully we can bring this forward ASAP at a work session and then follow up with voting on it at meetings.
Thank you, Mayor. I can support the resolution as presented. However, I would like to get a date certain so that we and the community can know when council is going to revisit this fee schedule so that we can have maximum input.
Okay. So we'll get to that in just a second. So, Counselor Nate, did you have a question?
I was just going to circle back to what Counselor Wolf, is it okay if Becca just gives a very quick directional comment on each one of the highlighted items, or is that ship sailed? And
No, I think we're still having the conversation. So
is that okay, Becca? If you just, on each of the highlighted items for the public record, just to give a quick narrative. So for instance, search, retrieval, copying documents that went up 50%. Maybe that's, to Elena's point, maybe that's standard, but just a quick comment would, I think, be helpful. just on the highlighted areas.
What I think probably happened with the fire is that they didn't realize that it increased and therefore it didn't change when the other fees changed for the search, retrieval and copying of documents. Because you got to realize when we're doing that, it's taking us away from other activities that maybe are pretty darn important to us. And then we have to go into overtime to get those done. So, that is what I imagined happened, why it wasn't increased when the police and the city clerk were. It was just an oversight. Then the next one is, let's see, hazardous material assessment. No, though, that is highlighted.
No,
That's part
Per
of
the
new
ordinance tonight that you
Yeah, for
approved.
new
I think
ordinance.
that's,
okay, so then that's.
I think just to clarify, I think it's, so the search, retrieval and copying of documents, do you feel comfortable that Elena had sort of explained that piece that the state has allowed municipalities to increase that to
sure, yeah.
4137,
Yeah,
but it's not required.
Very.
And then additionally, the traffic collision, right, that was based on our ordinance.
Ordinance. And then
Okay.
the encroachment permit is based on the other ordinance.
Mhm.
Then the postage fees, well, postage has gone up. And then the final one, the new water meter installation is we are getting these new smart meters. And they are more expensive than our old, more, simpler meters that we've had in the past.
Okay, and that's for new construction.
Thanks, Becca.
Mhm. Okay,
Thanks, Mayor.
certainly.
So Becca, just to clarify, are you guessing or do you know? I wasn't sure from your answer. Is 41, it's a very precise number.
Right, I
So
am guessing.
$41.37 an hour is pretty much what we're paying now when we have to pay people overtime to respond to core requests that are lengthy enough to require any.
I would have
charge.
to do a little analysis of how much the fire department people make on average and what their overtime.
The
would
fire
be.
department is responding to core requests?
I think this is just something too, we can discuss at a further date.
It's-
I think
yeah.
this is a
Well,
great
Yeah, this is-
conversation, but I don't know that maybe Becca's the one to respond
I
to it.
thought we were talking about search, retrieval and copying of documents and records, which I assumed was Cora.
Nope, it's under the fire department. So it's a
Oh,
core
pardon
request
me.
that
I'm
goes
looking
to
at
the fire
wrong
department.
Yellow.
Mhm.
And there
Oh,
were no page numbers on here, so I wasn't able to ask you what page you were on.
I know.
Oh.
I have page numbers on mine, but that
I
doesn't
guess I'm
help
in
you
favor
guys.
of postponing this to a date certain. I like Judith's suggestion so that we know
Mhm.
it won't just slide away by mistake because it's important.
Mhm.
So if we could have a date certain when we'll come back and look at all of this sometime in March, possibly. Is that doable with our calendar?
Julie,
I would say-
without the search, retrieval and copying of documents as John's motion.
Yes, just in other words, I'm wondering if we can make a friendly amendment to John's motion to put a date certain in on when the rest of this will be set.
Next week? Oh, can we give you a date next week?
Yeah, can we give a
Yeah,
date
is that-
next
is
week
that
and we
okay if
look at the
we,
agendas?
Look through everything and figure it out? Is that all right? I don't have a date. I mean, we can create a date certain, but we may have to adjust it at the next meeting if we don't have time to discuss with staff, correct? Yeah, I mean, I just think that as a part of this motion, we do need to get something on the calendar. We say by next week, or would you like to randomly pick a date and then we can potentially change it next week?
I'd
How
like
would you
it to be in March.
in March?
Yeah, I'd like it to be after the Metro vote so that if there are any questions such as Mike Casey's question that he brought forward earlier
Mhm.
today as to parking rates and things that we can just address the whole 9 yards at one work session. Whereas I thought advised to not address those things until we find out the results of the election.
Mhm.
Is that correct, Jeff, that we're best to address those things after the results of the election?
Probably a better idea.
Okay, well, that's why I suggested March, not next week.
Well, I guess I'll make a friendly amendment since there seems to be some interest in that we would also direct staff to try and bring this back to us to our first work session in March. which would be, I don't know that, what,
Like 10th.
March 10th. Thank you very much, Denise.
Okay. And then just before we vote, I do want to mention that we did have Julia and Carol, you were interested in potentially making a comment this evening. Would you still like to do that? Even though we've potentially changed,
Why don't they come on March 10th?
that may be worth your time to come on March 10th?
That's what we're discussing.
Sure. Yep, I think that's fine. Mhm. Okay, sorry, Becca.
I'll assume my seat.
Okay. All right. And
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 Carrie,
then
you're
Julie and
not-
Carol, if you'd like to come forward. And then I'd also just like to mention that we did also receive an email from the Director of Visit Manitou Springs regarding this as well.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Carol Campbell. I live at 4890 Pyramid Mountain Road in Cascade. And my company, Mad Woman Marketing Strategies, is contracted to produce the Commonweal Arts Festival this year. I'm really grateful that you decided to postpone the fees, just kind of as a point of information. And I know staffing was rough. We start planning in October, November, December. That's prime time to talk to vendors, to contractors, to potential sponsors. We've actually already set a budget and set figures for income and expense. We get those are floating numbers, but based on the sales tax license increase that we already knew was coming. So while I understand financially, the city is challenged, we all are, that I would just, hope that you consider the fact that not only we, but I'm guessing a lot of the events that Jen is doing as well are already well into planning. They've probably set fee structures. They're already trying to negotiate, all the things, porta potties and fencing and all those kinds of things. So that really could be devastating to an organization of our size. And I hope you'll take that under consideration when you guys have your work session. Thank you.
Yeah, my biggest concern is that the vendor permit.
Sorry, can you just state your name and address?
Oh, I'm sorry, Julia Wright. I live at 106 Ruxton. Commonweal Artists is at 102 Canyon Avenue. Having been part of this event 50 of the 52 years, it is time for me to change over to who handles a lot of the details. I have to say, I also don't hear most of what you said. So hearing her say you're postponing that concept of the vendor fee, please don't raise it another $5. It is already causing us vendors asking us why their their booth fee would be $45 more. Plus we added another $5 for other things that have also gone up in costs. So we would request that you look at that and leave it at the 15 instead of going to 20. For a 3-day event, we bring in to the city just for the event $9,000 in sales tax. We also pay all the other fees to the city. But think about all of the people that we bring in for Labor Day weekend that also bring in sales tax. So consider that. If you lose our event, which would be a sad thing, if we can't pay our bills because of increased fees for the park, for the vendor fee, it would be sad after 52 years to have to let it go.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Would anyone else like to comment on this item? Okay. All right. So we do have a first and a second. Are we ready for a vote? Oh. Yes, thank you. Do you have it? I don't have it on me. Oh, here we go. I see it. All right. Long, thank you. Manitou Springs, so I'm now reading, Jenna Wells, the Executive Director of Visit Manitou Springs, did submit an email regarding this. I'm writing to respectfully request reconsideration of the continued increases in the city's event-related fee schedule, particularly as they have now risen 2 years in a row. Since 2024, the minor special event application has increased from $50 to $75, again, 50%, and the major special event application has increased from $150 to $200, 33%. Vendor fees have also escalated significantly. Vending permits were $11 per booth per day in late 2024, and the current $20 per booth per day represents an approximate 82% increase from that baseline. And even using the city's year-over-year schedule, it is a $15 to $20 or 33% increase. These increases place particular strain on longstanding community-defining nonprofit events such as coffin races, carnival, and the Commonweal Arts Festival, which are free to attend and rely on vendor participation and sponsorship to cover costs while driving shoppers and diners into downtown businesses. While some of these increases may appear modest in isolation, they are occurring alongside increases to vendor fees and application fees, and they stack up on top of other required costs as well. Event organizers are already facing significant inflationary pressure on costs that are necessary to operate safe, well-managed events, including service vendors and staffing costs, portable restrooms, trash, recycling and cleanup costs, traffic control support, cones, barricades, insurance, security, water services, and more. In addition, the city's costs for event support have also increased and or continue to rise. The fee schedule includes hourly rates for city staffing and services, including law enforcement, $75 per hour, parking enforcement, $50, and public works, $50. By way of context, the Emma Crawford Coffin Races invoice from the city last year totaled $10,130 for required city services before accounting for other event operating costs. When those service costs increase at the same time as application, vendor, and rental fees, organizers are squeezed from multiple directions. With appreciation for the city's budget realities and our shared goal of keeping events safe and successful, we respectfully ask that you please reconsider further increases to event fees for a second year in a row. Thank you for your time and consideration. Jenna Wells, Executive Director, Visit Manitou Springs. So with that, I do believe that we have heard from everyone who wanted to comment on this item. And again, we do have a first and a second on the table. Are we ready for a vote?
Would you restate the motion? Because I want to be clear that we're saying that the search, retrieval, and copying of documents and records will be discussed on March 10th as a part of the overall work session. Is that what you meant, John?
Yeah, everything I'm agreeing to in yellow except the records fee.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right.
And then the second was by Julie, and you agree? Okay. And with that, a vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. And with that, I would like to take a 15-minute break so that we can enjoy everything that Sally Fitzgerald put together for us before we go to our next agenda item.
She was back there a minute ago, a while ago.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's all scheduled, maybe.
Parker, I'm gonna reply to Mr. Casey. And his questions, and I'll say, these are my opinions.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell him expressly that the council either speaks by proclamation, resolution, or ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I'm just gonna give him my interpretation of that list in 1866 in the court order plan, and I'm gonna quote directly out of it. Basically, as with the peace concern of the Wichita law, I'm just gonna go back to the court order to select the plan. We have a new demand, assets we require from the Metro Mission consistent with our other laws.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
May you do it from your personal email?
Yeah.
Even better. Okay. That's our other thing I see. Yeah, and there's no consistency of what the policy. And switch to a thing that I got most of the novels with these. Yeah. She and I are trying to call her this out. I was emailing people that said like ish. Yeah, and so, but I just letting. I love it. It's going on. Oh, the whole thing. So that's just the short thing. Yes. Yeah, because, you know. Nice to make sure you have a connection to what you're referring to. Yeah, I mean, you set fees, and to me, it seems like they. And. Because they're. City decides it's same money, like here's what it is this year, but it's not, yeah. Remember that, and we. I probably spent 6 hours. Every. That's this. Yeah, but anyway, so I want you to spend. Yes, I'm gonna. Denise mentioned that, she said, oh, you know, see John's email, I have to have a look at it, and she'll peek out when I was getting in the car, but, she did, she get it over tomorrow, she's just gonna look at it. So, yeah, I get it out, so, I'm just giving you a full. Because, I'm back. Okay, that's it. I'm just trying to say that. Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, Denise said that, under the progressive pricing policy, before the city council voted here a couple years ago. You know, obviously like a formula. It used to be every forward or sport. Yes. Yeah. That's real. Yeah. I don't want to wait just a second. What the law says is. She said that. And I listened to, I heard there's like. But.
All right, Julie's making her way back now. Okay, yep. 7:22, okay. Our next agenda item is direction on community engagement budget. And I believe Denise, you are the lead on this one?
Yep. So at the last meeting, you gave me direction to go back and do some additional research, give you some options. What I would ask for tonight is direction of how you want me to move forward. So real clear direction, you want this or this or this and this, so that I can get the process moving. But I went through, I did call, you asked me to call Magellan, who did our last community survey. I gave him a call, the exact same person who did it. We walked through it. We walked through what the survey, when it would be a good time to launch it, how long he thinks it would take, and to get it back for the results and the cost. Remember, the last time we did this survey, we had to extend it several times because we didn't get the responses that we wanted. So we had to keep promoting it and get it out there. What they do is the cost is about 15 to 18,000 for the survey. I kind of went through and talked about each one. The survey will provide you a high-level overview of residents' current priorities. Last time when we did the survey, we did not allow the businesses to participate. So I asked him this time, can we set up a survey that's the business focused? And it would just show that the businesses, so you could see what residents said and also what businesses said. So we can definitely do that. It's convenience. You don't have to leave your house. You can take it right there. We would send it like most surveys now do it is through text messaging and say, here's the survey, please take it. That's how we did it last time. It worked very well. They got the voter registration list and then they sent that out. So that we can also do a QR code and send out a postcard and encourage people to do it that way. He does believe, with his experience, that you'll get a higher response with the text messaging because then it's right there and you can do it if you're waiting in a waiting room or whatever it may be. QR code, you may put it there and say, I'll do it later, and then you never do it, but we can definitely do both. It's limited detail information. When you do a survey, you don't get to really do education and share information. And it's limited. It's one-way conversation. There isn't two-way questions, answers, clarification, those type of things. But it's still, we can get some quantitative data because we can have a couple of open-ended questions also. So it's more qualitative, but you can get or more quantitative. You can get qualitative by having open-ended. So again, launch it probably the third week of March and the presentation to council by the end of May, if we don't have to extend it several times. It really depends on where our response rate is and how quickly we get it. If we get a huge response rate within 7 days, then that would move up. If we need to extend it a couple of times, then that would move back. Options 2 and 4 include community engagement. And the community engagement builds long-term relationships. That's the positive about it. It solves real complex issues as you're having conversation, and it ensures information is shared during the decision-making process. So it gives you the opportunity for education and to talk about the budget. If this is budget focused, which I believe you are, as we know, government budget is very challenging to understand, and all the different, what is really general fund, what is enterprises, because many times you'll say water, we need to fix infrastructure and water lines, which is not part of the general fund. So it's really being able to have those conversations and share that information. It allows dialogue to happen. And it's a good avenue to build trust because you can start having those conversations. One community engagement meeting, estimated cost again is 2,000 to 5,000. Estimated time frame is 8 to 10 weeks to pull everything together and have those meetings and move forward. So that's just one community engagement. Then you have 2 or 3 community engagements. Again, estimated cost and timeframes. It allows the same thing with several. It allows different people to attend. So if you only have one and you have something planned that night, right? It's challenging. Then you don't get to attend. If you have several, you might have one in an evening and one on a weekend and have different time frames. So it does allow that. And it takes additional time and there's some additional cost. It does not allow for online participation though, because there are some people that don't want to attend a public meeting. They just want to be able to sit at home and be able to do a survey. So there are some limitations to that also. Then there's doing both, which provides several opportunities to participate. Excuse me. It facilitates dialogue and it allows various avenues to collect data. So it's not just one or the other. It really provides both avenues to do that. Well-informed participation, and it's a comprehensive approach. So you get a bigger picture, you get a better understanding of where the community is overall. So community engagement meetings provides the council with broader understanding and more comprehensive feedback. That is through two-way dialogue and interactive questions and answer sessions. This approach does take some additional time and it is a little bit more expensive. So I wanted to do that. As we embark on community engagement, it will provide an opportunity for the city to simplify our financial reporting, and that's going to be really important. No matter what we do, we're going to have to simplify and really make sure we have a good narrative. So those are things that we will need to work on with whomever helps us with this as we move forward. And it will need to make sure the information is complete but easily understood. So those are some other things. I did talk a little bit about Magellan and what happened last time when we did that survey. It was about 515 residents participated. But again, we did have to extend that numerous times. We were planning to present it about 6 weeks before we did, and that wasn't doable because we just did not get the numbers that we needed. So we kept promoting and resending to people who had not completed the survey.
Can I ask a quick question on that?
You bet.
We didn't do a postcard mailing though with
No,
that,
we
did
did
we?
not.
Okay, thank
Nope.
you.
We did put it in the bulletin, the Pikes Peak Bulletin at the time, and we did some avenues that way, but we did not do the postcard. So yeah. And that is the different options that we have. I'm seeking direction of where you want me to go from here.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Who would like to jump in first? Sure, Counselor Wolf.
So Denise, with option one, I understand it would take 8 to 10 weeks, but we really wouldn't have the results until the end of May. Is that correct?
Well, we would launch it, the goal is we'd launch it the third week of March. And then, yeah, the goal would be to have it back the end of May. I don't want to guarantee that because if we don't get the responses and we really need to encourage, then it may be June. But that would be the goal, is to have it back by the end of May.
And what would be your estimate of under option two for when?
8 to 10 week time frame also.
But I mean, when we spoke last time on the subject, you said, yeah, but the RFP itself is such that most places won't be available for at least 90 days to even start, or something along those lines.
Yeah. And
So I was wondering if you had an idea of when those 8 to 10 weeks might be able to begin. Would it be the same answer as?
I don't
as
know that
option
because I
one?
haven't spoken with somebody there. I'm just saying it's going to take about 8 to 10 weeks once we get someone identified. So if you give me that direction tomorrow, I'm starting to work on how do we do it? Can I get 3 bids very quickly? Who might it be? What is their experience? And then how quickly can they get it done? So I don't have all of that information at this time.
Okay. Okay, would it be a fair assumption that any of these options could commence by the end of March, or is that too? No,
I don't think we can get any of them by the end of March.
so the luckiest we could be is for any of these options, whether it's the survey or the community engagement, one or more, really wouldn't begin until sometime in April, most likely.
I would say April. I would recommend that you really don't start any of this until about the middle of March, no matter which one you go with. I would do the middle of March after the election has happened and those things, so that it doesn't get confused. You keep them very separate and you work on this one after that. So that is my recommendation. However, if you wanted to do it quick, quicker, I would do whatever I could to make that happen.
And do you have an idea of total, how many weeks total our previous online survey was available to people with all, given all the extensions that you mentioned? For how long was that
Yep,
survey?
May
out there?
15th through June 15th. It was in the
Oh, so it was just 4 weeks.
it was 4 weeks. We were hoping to do it quicker, but that was a very aggressive, and we'd have to do that this time too, no matter what. Very aggressive. Fill it out, fill it out. I mean, we were going every day trying to get people to.
So if we're
show
hoping
us.
to get 500 results, we would expect to have it out there for about 4 weeks before results are tallied.
Yeah.
Okay,
4
thank
to
you.
6, depending on how they come in.
Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. So to answer your question, I'm a really big fan of a hybrid approach. And this is one of those situations where I think we need to invest some money in not only the online survey, which I think will give us some really rich data, but also I think it's imperative to include the community. I do support the use of Magellan. I thought they did a great job, and I also support the using the postcard mailing. In my perfect world, we would start with start getting the online survey up and running. So maybe we would have some of that raw data back before the community engagements. That may not happen, but I would also want us to consider at least 2 community engagement meetings for the reasons that you mentioned. Timing, and also just to get as many members of the community involved. I'm conflicted on having 3, for time, but also historically, I've noticed that, we do tend to get some of the same people showing up over time. So I think that in my personal opinion, I think 2 would cover it. That's just my thinking. But bottom line is I do support a hybrid approach on this. Thank you.
You want to go next? Little green light on, you can go.
I got my green light on. I've done quite a bit of work like this, so I think it's really important to engage the community, particularly in times when things are going really well and in times when things are a little bumpy. I don't know Magellan very well, so I have some questions about that. They were text messaging. Is there a way we can do something related to Magellan that would allow people who don't text, who don't go online to participate? Can we have a printed copy somehow and get that? And then would we do the tabulation and the analysis on that?
Yeah, what would happen is if we got the printed copy, and we did do that last time, I forgot to mention, we had them here and they could fill them out, and then they would go ahead and seal them, and then we would send them, because some of them want to keep it confidential, which is great. I want to honor that. So they would seal it in an envelope, and then we would send it to Magellan to be able to put it.
Okay. And then business owners were not included last time. Can we reach them this time don't we have a listing of business licenses
Yep.
or something like that?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we talked about is if you choose to have the business participate, we would be able to send it to them via email also. And then also texting for the ones that we have, and then through our business license is one of the best ways to do it.
Yeah. And then I have some questions about the questions. I would like for us to have some input on the questions. I'm not crazy about having outside agency, even one like Magellan, determining the questions. So is there a way we can at least develop the concept of the question? Because I understand it's very scientific how questions are phrased and who responds. But I don't want to get something back that is, just as an example, quality of life is good. That doesn't tell me enough. I'd like for us to be able to put some specifics in there and let them craft them in a way in which we'll get some good response back. 515 residents, that's not too bad. That's 10%. It's not too bad. And there isn't a way to do this, but I'd love be able to say, we're going to really promote to Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3. And my guess is they're going to take a list of registered voters. Okay. So we can't really, so we won't have data that it's more important in this ward than this ward.
Last time we did have it broken up by ward, so we can definitely do that again. And that was very helpful. So last time it was broken up by ward where they lived, and then broke that up accordingly.
And then lastly, I'm in favor of a hybrid to the hybrid, Judith. So I think for this, for me, it's most important to get this survey out. And I wish we could launch it a little sooner, but I understand the information dissemination process between the Metro District and this. But it seems to me if we could do one informational meeting instead of what I would call community engagement, but really just one meeting in addition to the survey where I'm going to name people in the room, where Becca and Denise would just talk about the budget itself and maybe take some questions, you know, the difference between the enterprise areas and what's in the general fund. Just informational and take some Q&A. And we save this true community engagement for a little bit later, like, I don't know, August, September to help us with crafting the budget for next year. But at a minimum, get the survey out and have an informational meeting. And perhaps we can video that so it's available to people to get access to it sometime. So
Yeah.
that's.
I've always done an informational meeting before I bring it to council, a budget. This year we just didn't because it was didn't know what was happening. But I usually do an informational meeting and we could do that again. I've had anywhere from 10 to 30 people show up for that, depending on what's happening. So we could
I
definitely.
think a lot of
do
it
that.
depends on how we promote it.
Yep.
So the idea of the postcard and keeping information out there, because certainly a lot of people like to talk about the budget. Maybe they'd like to be informed about the budget.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Counselor
Just a
Nates.
few things, quick speed round. Really appreciated the way you outlined the options. So thank you for that. Very much aligned to the hybrid approach. Process question for you, because I wasn't involved with Magellan. So if directionally you move forward, Magellan or the person that you shortlist and curate, they'll create a scope of work, and then does that get presented back to council in terms of the specific implementation items, some which Gloria has sort of alluded to, and then we discuss with the vendor, with you, et cetera?
So with Magellan, if we go with a survey, what we'll do is go ahead and sign that contract very quickly. And then we'll do sounds like a work session with you to talk about what you're wanting, kind of what information you're wanting to gather from that survey. And as Gloria say, then they'll go through and they'll put together those questions. That's what happened last time. There was just some direction from you. They went and put the questions together and then we started.
And are
doing the
those,
survey.
is that with the subject matter experts
Mhm.
from the consultancy?
Yep, it would be.
So, yeah, that feels great. So we'd have something to react to from the boutique consultancy or whatever experts that we're going to engage. And so, yeah, I'm really encouraged, and I like what you mentioned here around ensuring that there's significant enhancements in terms of our financial reporting and the way we will enable the community to sort of digest and engage with it, because it is pretty technical. So thank you very much.
Counselor Wolf.
Since we're talking about all of this happening, nothing could be implemented until the fourth quarter of the year, really. I mean, if we're talking August and September. I assume then the public engagement concerns 2027 and not 2026? I mean, what's the point of deciding the budget for 2026 when the earliest it can be implemented is September? I mean, what's the point? It's the 9th month of the year. I don't object to having it pertain to both, but since we're looking at this late in the year timeline for when we're going to be able to get the results and then meet and talk about the results and make decisions about the results, I would propose that whatever we decide tonight, that it pertain definitely to 2027. And if you want to throw in 2026, I guess I don't mind, but if that's the case, I really think either way, we need to make some decisions about 2026. Then without the public engagement, it can always be modified once we get the results of the public engagement because we're always able to adjust our budget. But I don't want us to be in a position where we have no opportunity to, as a group, evaluate the 2026 budget until 2026 is almost done, right? And so I would be back to promoting or suggesting what I suggested earlier is that for 2026, we schedule a date sometimes, ASAP, but after the Metro votes, we know what we're dealing with budget-wise, to decide the 2026 budget without public engagement. They can engage the 2026 budget comments, and we could make adjustments to what we decide in March. We could make those adjustments in September based on the feedback we get from them. But I don't want us to just somehow put our heads in the sand and do nothing for this year on our budget.
Can I? So some of this you'll have results like for if we do the survey and you say you want to do survey and community engagement, you're going to have some responses hopefully by the end of May. The other thing is this, my understanding as we go through this is really not 26, 27, but it's priorities. What does the community set as their priorities? Because that's then decides how you, if you choose to fund this over that or what that looks like. So it's a really comprehensive, and Magellan would be able to bring that back to you and really talk about it. Because when I was talking it through with them, they talked about how they've done this for many communities with the same issues that we're having right now and how they use that to go ahead and manage budgets accordingly. So if you want to go with them, right, I can try to get them under contract very quickly and get them in here so you can hear how that works and what information you get. With Magellan, we wouldn't because we did it before. We did the survey with them and we want to use the same company for consistency as you go forward because they know what was said, what questions were asked. So from a consistent perspective, we would not go out for RFP.
Can I ask a follow-up question? So does that suggest, Denise, you're saying regardless of what we choose here, well, not if we do everything, the whole red carpet 5-star approach, but most of these options, including a hybrid approach, we would have the results by May and then we could adjust the budget accordingly in June so that it would be applicable to the last, well, and even if we adjust the budget in June, then it would be implemented in July. So we'd be able to have that feedback pertain to the last 5 months at best of 2026. Am I looking at that timeline correctly?
Yeah, that's what it, again, the goal is for the survey, for instance, is to have it by the end of May. I don't want to absolutely put that because if we only have 200, then we're going to keep pushing and say we need some more. But that's the time frame for all of these are general time frames of what we will do everything we can to get it.
That's one step.
quickly.
So on our best, most optimistic view, if we get the information at the end of May, then we have to discuss it and have a budget meeting and make decisions accordingly. So now we're in June, right? And then whatever decisions we make have to get implemented. So now we're in July. I mean, you can't just change the budget in one day. So now we're in July. So at best, if I understand this discussion correctly, for 2026, at best, the community engagement / hybrid approach, the feedback would be effective for July through December. Is that timeline realistic or am I missing something?
Yeah, you'll have feedback to consider the mid-year budget amendment. Yes.
Okay, so if we have the community engagement include 2026 and 2027, then we would be able to modify the budget for perhaps the last 5 months of 2026, realistically.
You'll have the feedback of what the priorities are for the community.
Yeah, but feedback doesn't change the budget.
Right,
Feedback
right.
is the first step.
But it
Then
gives
we
you
have to have our
ideas. It
meeting,
give
then we
you-
have to have you implement it.
Right.
So it looks like you keep saying end of May, end of May, end of May, but nothing in real life will happen realistically in the most optimistic view until July. Right? I mean, we can't give, if it's the end of May and we meet and we make a decision on June 10th, you're not going to be able to change the budget in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right? I mean, I would imagine it takes some work to implement all these changes. So I'm just trying to think out loud here. We're looking really at either changing the budget ourselves or not for the first 7 months of the year, or 6 months, 7 months of the year, or doing nothing for the first 6 or 7 months of the year. So I would propose that we have a meeting sometime before all this happens, that we have a meeting in March. We figure out what we're going to do between March and July, because the July is still an optimistic best case scenario. And then we can always adjust it and have another budget meeting after the results come in at the end of May to determine what's going to happen from July through December. And I would suggest after all this work and all this money and getting people down here, that we also give them an opportunity to address 2027 as well. So that we don't just reinvent the wheel and start all over again in November with another, $20,000 of, or more of community engagement about the following year. Is it feasible to ask people to, I mean, I would imagine Magellan could construct some kind of community engagement where people are giving feedback about both years. And, and they might feel the same for both years. They might just say, I want X and I want that to continue in 2027 as well, or what have you. But it seems to me we should have them look at both years since it's going to be so late in this year.
Okay, thank you, Julie. So yeah, a variety of things were shared there. I do believe if we were to give Denise the instruction that we would like to be able to vote on an amended budget on July 1, that you would try to back it out from there and make it work to the best of your ability. I have heard over and over again from the community that they desperately want to participate. And so I do feel like us working around that works against us. And I feel your pain. I wish we could go back in time and do this last year, but we're here. And so it's a little frustrating, but I'm willing to accept where we are, but bring people with us this time. And I just have a few requests. One, Denise, could you share the last survey with all of us so we kind of get, I don't know if like
It
Counselor
was in the
Nate,
packet 2 weeks ago,
Yep.
but I can resend it.
did you, I don't remember it,
Yep.
but do you remember it? You good? Okay,
Yep.
great, excellent. And then the other thing is I propose that we have a word contest. So you guys are on the line to see who can get the most survey participants from your ward. And you'll get some kind of a prize for that. So I'm going to put that on the table. And then additionally, I do think we can work with the library district as well. So in addition to the postcards and things like that, I think that the library district can also help people fill out surveys and all of that. So a variety of things there. So again, I guess to get us back on track, we have a couple proposals before us. So we've got the options here, that idea of just a survey with, some level of community engagement or in-person community engagement, or the hybrid piece? And then additionally, do we want to move forward in some way without any of this to discuss the 2026 budget and then use this component for the 2027 budget? How do we sort of want to bring all this together, which is a little complicated, which I get. But here we are. All right, we'll go there and I'll go to you next.
I do appreciate the comments of Counselor Wolf because we do have 2 budget years that we really need to discuss. Mayor, is it possible for us to include that? It's my understanding that you'll be mentioning something about the retreat on the 28th. If we are going to proceed with a retreat on the 28th, is that something that we can put on the agenda to just discuss a framework in more detail about how we would flesh this out? And then, I mean, just a framework. I mean, just a
Yeah.
best case scenario.
I would like a decision tonight of a direction because I
Certainly.
want to
Oh,
get this
absolutely. But I'm just
started.
thinking that's
yeah.
the 2026 budget. I think definitely make a decision. I did have 2 things. One, to Counselor Latimer's really good comment about an information session. We did discuss that, and I also think part of that we were discussing there are some things that, especially with the community engagement, that we can't cut. I mean, they're just core services, and so I think that the community needs to also know that, these are some things that we have to think about. We can't do massive cuts there. My last question to council is, as I've been hearing everybody talk, and this is just to throw out for discussion because I don't have an answer. When 2A did not pass, we did hear from the business community that they felt like they did not have a seat at the table. And I'm just wondering if, let's say we went with 2 community engagements for largely residents, would we want to include 1 community engagement specifically for the business and business development community, the chamber? Just a thought. If that's something, because will the business community feel that participating in just an online survey will be sufficient? So I'm just throwing that out for discussion.
Counselor Nate?
Did you want anyone
do
to
you want-
react, Judith, to Counselor Judith? Yeah.
You can build up for a question if you'd like. Or you can
No,
introduce a
I
new
appreciate
question.
Counselor Chandler's perspectives a lot, and I think Counselor Wolf raised great points. For me, this really hinges on the quality of Magellan and their consulting expertise. And so it sounds like everyone was very impressed by the quality of their people and their process. But for me, that would inspire more confidence if their consulting experts then reported out. And what you've outlined here, which is wonderful, is very directional, but they may have 25 other things that would help support and inform our decisions. So I feel like they could probably make that pretty quick. Like they could send a couple of their managing directors down here that lead the practice, and then we can hear what they have to say. But I wasn't involved with the process before, so I'm just raising that. And my sense is that Counselor Wolf's really, really merited concerns around the idea of not addressing some of the 2026 budget issues. My sense is, my expectation would be from Magellan that they would be able to address that concern and potentially be very supportive to the decisions that we would make incrementally, potentially, during that planning period. So that's just my initial thoughts. But again, I'll pass the mic to you, Denise, if it
Well,
makes any sense.
Yeah, if I get direction for this survey, I will call him first thing tomorrow, and I could even ask if he could be here next Tuesday. I don't know if that's possible, right? I have no idea, but that is something I could discuss and say, would you be able to show up and talk about kind of what the survey looks like? He's done this numerous times, just exactly what we are doing today. He has done it for school districts. He's done it for cities. And if you get on their website, you can look at all the cities they've done it for. So they're very, very robust in their experience. I can see if I can have him here by next Tuesday to answer some of those questions, but if not, I can get him down in March.
And would Magellan run the community engagement part of the hybrid approach, or is that another consultancy that would run that?
That would probably be another consultant, but I haven't spoken with them about that. I just really talked to them about the survey. So if you give me direction, I'll have more answers. I just don't have those answers tonight.
Yep, I think Gloria was first.
Good discussion. I really understand the concern about the time frame. I would like to launch this sooner rather than mid-March. I am in favor of moving ahead with with the text survey. I'm concerned about our ability to craft questions that will inform us and not be general. We like the parks, we like the roads, we don't want to choose, or, so I would like, if possible, for us to spend some time, and I'd be happy to help with this on getting some specific questions, so we get information we can use. I mean, it's expensive to do this. It's expensive to do this. We're paying a lot to get information from each one of the residents. So I think that's important. So crafting of the questions, I'd like some input on that. And at this point, I would say we hold on community engagement. We get this information. We work on the budget for 2026 with as much input as we can get from other people. And we really then do community engagement in a bigger way.
So just to
perhaps with
clarify, the survey first,
survey first.
no in-person engagement until
Well,
after we've.
I would think an informational meeting, video, Zoom with Denise and Becca would be helpful.
And would you do
be
that
me.
before the survey went out or after the survey went out?
I
or-
would do it, I would probably do it during myself.
Okay.
So I like option one with one informational meeting.
Okay.
I can be convinced otherwise.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so I do think we need to start kind of piecing this together. Just to throw one thing out there, we are still all available to meet on February 28th. I would like to suggest that we still keep that retreat. We can keep it to just a morning retreat, so we could do something from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And one of the items on there could be that framework for community engagement, which would include putting together some at least themes and details for questions that Magellan could work with. So I do want to throw that out there, that date is still available and that would work with the timeline potentially for us to get together and dive in and work on those questions. So I'm throwing that out there.
That's like 4 weeks away, though.
The February 28th.
Yeah, I'm
is-
just saying, daylight's burning on this. And
So
so if we don't get the questions to them, then I'm pushing for an earlier launch is
Okay.
where I'm getting.
They did say that they could have this done by mid-March. So again, once you guys give me directions, I can give you more answers. But I need to talk to them. If you say, we want this survey, I'll reach out to them. And by Friday, I'll have kind of timelines of when they can be here, what we can do, et cetera. But I just need that direction before I have that conversation.
And just to reiterate, Denise is suggesting that mid-March launch because she doesn't want to confuse this survey with the Metro District election. So, okay, just so you're aware that there was a specific reason she requested that timeline. So, okay, Councilman.
I just wanted to be clear on sort of where my bias or expectation is. I appreciate this idea of decoupling the survey and having one consultant lead it and then another consultant potentially. But my preference is really, and my expectation is that we would have, a very, very well-respected consultancy that could potentially manage both. And so when I contemplate in my mind's eye the scope of work that would come back, that consultancy would be able to speak to both. Now, Susan spoke a couple meetings ago, and she seemed wonderful. It sounded like she had her own consultancy, and she ran both the survey piece and the community engagement piece. So that's not to say, Councilor Latimer, there's merit to decoupling it, going that way. I'm very partial to having the consultancy that's had real success managing both of them. And so when I'm reviewing that scope of work, it's from one entity or potentially Magellan and someone else, but that conversation is done together. So I hope that helps clarify sort of where my preference would lie in terms of the path taken here.
Okay. Counselor Chandler.
Thank you, Mayor. So I agree with Counselor Latimer that time is of the essence. And I realize with the new council members that you're not familiar with the Magellan consultancy, and their expertise is surveys, not in-person surveys. So I'm just throwing this out as an idea. Perhaps it would be better if we split the discussion into just voting on the survey first, and what we want that to look like and launch, and then go back around and talk about community engagement, or maybe we just want to start with a survey first instead of voting on a hybrid approach. I think that might be useful. If time is of the essence, though, it takes a lot of time to vet, consultant services. And so that may, if we're not going to go with, what we've used in the past, which, the council will decide on, we're also adding several weeks to this process. If not, maybe even a month. So just something to consider. So I would be supportive of, Counselor Latimer's approach to just focus on getting giving Denise direction on the survey with Magellan, and move, and then coming back around to discuss what community engagement will look like.
Counselor Wolf.
A few comments. It seems to me that Gloria's suggestion of seeing if we can put together some questions that we'd like to see in the survey. And if we're just crafting questions, or even hypotheticals, at one point, John, remember you suggested your tic-tac-toe idea to me, which I thought was really clever, on telling people, here's your budget. We need to cut. We want to cut X amount of dollars. This is how much it would cost if we eliminate 1 day a week of the pool not being open. This is what it would cost if we eliminate 2 days a week of the pool not being open. This is what it would cost if we stop, I don't know, plowing side streets, or just different choices where they can where they have to come up with a dollar amount of cuts or something like that. Anyway, or we could just do plain old questions, but I don't think if we start with forcing ourselves to come up with some valid questions that we want to see on the survey, I don't think we're going to confuse any of the voters. They're just questions. They're not giving information to the voters, and they're not asking for the feedback from the voters yet, because the survey won't even have been developed yet. But I'm concerned if we meet for the first time on the last Saturday of this month and then give the questions, give an outline, the questions to Magellan or whomever to develop the survey, that they may say, well, gosh, we can't just pull this together in 12 days and have the survey ready to roll by the 15th of March. We need time to consider the questions that you want us to rephrase and to incorporate into our questionnaire. So I would suggest, I agree with Gloria that since time is so precious, I don't think there's anything wrong with us trying to come up with questions before the end of the month. I also don't think it's absolutely necessary to segregate a meeting with just the businesses or just the residents. I think there are a lot of potential benefits other than cost savings, which is significant, to having a combined meeting. Some of the residents may hear comments and concerns from residents that they hadn't previously considered. And it might be useful if this is in fact an educational back and forth tool, and we're doing the community engagement in addition to the questionnaire for the purpose of sharing information. Why not let the residents and the businesses share information with each other? It's not going to blow people's minds to have some people in the room that are business and some people that are residents in terms of tallying up the feedback of the people who participate in these community engagements. They can put a big B on their little thing that they hand up for business and put an R if you're a resident, or put BR if you're both. I mean, it shouldn't be that complicated. So regardless of how many community engagements we might have, I want to piggyback on Judith's suggestion that we at least start here with a decision on, do we want to, it sounds like everybody is in favor of having this survey. And if so, are we, most of us other than Nate, comfortable using Magellan? And it sounds like all of us are comfortable with wanting to give Magellan. And I agree with you, Natalie, because we've made that mistake before on council, where we did not review any of the questions of the first expensive survey, and it was pretty lame. It really wasn't very helpful. And then when we had an opportunity to actually talk about more specifics, we were very happy with the survey. So it made a big difference for us to be able to review or to give input on what we want the questions to be, so that they weren't just too general. So I think most of us want to go forward with a survey, it looks like.
It does sound like that. And I just, and so Denise, I'd like you to jump in a second, but I just wanted to mention that for me, the nuances of asking questions about the 2026 budget and the 2027 budget and making sure we're getting the information we need, to me, I think would require a facilitator. I mean, for us to just be kind of sitting around a table throwing out questions, I'm not quite sure. Maybe that will work, but I feel like that's where I keep landing on that. But Denise, I'll let you go. I'm sorry. I just want to.
So here's what my recommendation is if you guys want a survey, give me that direction. Let me go talk to Magellan. We're making a lot of assumptions right now, and we don't know facts. We don't know. And I don't think you would write the questions. What you would do is say, here's the information we want. Magellan is experts. They know exactly how to word the questions and what to do. So that is what we would do. And they would help with that conversation. So they would be here to sit in a meeting and say, okay, what are you wanting? And here's what I'm hearing. And so that would help. I just need that direction tonight. Then I can start doing the research and let you know. So if you want just a survey, I'll work on that and I'll get everything. If you want a survey and 2 meetings, tell me that and I'll get that going. But right now there's just a lot of assumptions that we don't know the facts until I do the research.
All right. So do I have a motion?
Mayor, can I?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and maybe I need a little help here. So it felt like many of us were very supportive of the hybrid approach. Did our feelings change there because of the timing issue? Was the thought that we could not do the hybrid approach because it would take too long to engage a consultant? Was that, or what was?
I think that where we were landing was that today, in terms of giving direction to Denise, we were just going to give direction on the survey because that's the thing that's going to take the longest for preparation. And that maybe at our next regular meeting, we would then potentially talk about community engagement or at a future time. But
I
anyway,
don't agree with that.
no?
I thought we were just going to discuss them separately, right?
That's what I
So
meant.
like, yeah, but not on different days, like tonight. So number
gotcha.
1, yes, please, Denise, move forward. Let's go with Magellan. Let's see what they can do. Let's see when they can come talk to us. Let's see what guidance they might give us in terms of how we can best give them feedback on what we need to know and to let them know how specific or how general we want the survey to be. And if that's a go, then step one, yay.
Okay, so that's your
Then
motion. That's
Step
your motion.
two,
Okay.
that's my motion.
Okay, let's do that.
Then just to respond to Nate though, step two is I would like us to then discuss, because time is of the essence. Do we want to have one community engagement, two community engagements, 10 community engagements? Let's talk about that in 5 minutes or in 2 seconds. But first, first, let's just decide yes or no. Are we, it sounds like we're mostly on the same page to get Magellan, give Denise direction to get Magellan started. But I wasn't thinking that we would talk about the rest of it another time.
Sounds
Just
good. Thank you for clarifying your understanding, and Judith as well. So, but just so anyway, so Julie, would you like to put a motion on the table for us to approve?
Julie,
moving-
I've got some
I don't know if we have
draft
to make
language.
motions when we're giving staff direction,
Mhm.
do we?
Was it a, it's a business
We don't-
item, isn't it?
Yeah.
No. It's a business item.
And Counselor Wolf,
I mean, I'm happy to make a
And it-
motion if you want a motion.
That's
we-
the request that's before us.
It's probably better because that way you get a consensus or,
Okay.
voting both ways.
Okay, then
Mayor.
Okay, well, Gloria, why don't you just make the motion?
then I
Or
can just.
Mayor, can I just?
Oh, sure.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank
Ju-
you.
Well,
Thanks,
you
Mayor.
can, okay.
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate Counselor Wolf's. So real quick thought experiment. If Magellan could do both, if they could, this is just a thought experiment for the group to help me. If they could do both the survey and the community engagement, and I'm really prioritizing the community engagement piece because I think the opportunity for us to inspire confidence and trust, and I think we're all aligned and on that. What would the motion be? There really wouldn't be an issue, right? Because Magellan they could come back with their implementation approach on the survey, and they could come back with their implementation approach on the community engagement, right? Does that hold or not?
It does not hold, yeah. So Denise, go ahead.
I don't believe that they will do the community engagement, but what
not
they
their
may do is know somebody that they've worked with to do that.
Yeah.
So those are the questions I can ask. But their expertise is really the survey.
So are we comfortable starting the survey process, signing off on that, having Magellan start, and then also Denise searching for either through Magellan or through other means to get a consultant to drive the community engagement?
So
We
that's
haven't
gonna be
decided
two-
that part yet.
Yeah, so we're just gonna have two
Stand by
separate
for 5
motions,
minutes on
yeah,
that.
this evening.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, just hang in there. So yeah, so Gloria, go ahead.
Okay, here we go. I move for the city administrator to contract with Magellan Incorporated for a text/written survey of residents' opinions on budget issues with priorities determined by city council.
Sure.
Can we specify?
We've cut you off. We've cut you off. Great job.
Would you be comfortable adding that the survey would pertain to 2026 and 2027 budget questions so that it's clear on what the survey?
I would accept that friendly amendment.
I just want to say she doesn't have the voting then, right? For her.
Okay.
I'll raise my hand. And I'll second that friendly amendment.
Just
All right, and so we'll just have Julie raise her hand at the end, okay, and a vote. Unless there's additional comment before, are we good? I feel like we've been chatting, okay, and a vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, all right, now, okay, we're going to talk about what in-person community engagement might look like. And so with that, we would be working with a different consultant, yet to be named, but we would like to discuss whether we're interested in 0, 1, 2, 3, 12 community engagement opportunities. And so let's move forward with that conversation now. I do want to mention that Carrie Storm did email me. I did forget to include her prior to this, but she just mentioned that she would like at least one community engagement meeting in addition to the survey. So with that, what are we thinking? Okay, kick us off.
I feel really comfortable with two, taking in Counselor Wolf's suggestion that we just combine it as a resident and business and chamber, you know. The reason why my motive and rationale for two is that, we're going to get feedback if we only have one that a lot of people wanted to attend, but that they couldn't, you know. So I think if we could have at least two that at different times, I think that would be, good. I'm not I'm not a fan of more than two, just because, again, sometimes we get the same people coming more than once, and also how much data in a reasonable amount of time can we digest and put together. So that's my input.
I have additional question just to add to the timing piece. So would you like the community engagement to happen after the survey is complete so that that information can be used to impact? I know, I'm just throwing, it's something we need to talk about. Julie?
Thank you, Mayor, for that question. So in my perfect world,
Mhm.
I would want it to, the planning to start now, but the actual community engagement to happen shortly after we get the results of the survey, just because I do believe that the survey will really inform us in a lot of ways when we do the community engagement piece. If that is going to draw it out way too far, I will defer to Denise and other council members on that issue. But I think I would love to have the survey first and then followed by the community engagement.
Okay, excellent. You got anyone? Okay. Would anyone else like to? Okay.
Yeah,
Councilor Leonard.
I think two is good, and I think the information from the survey would inform us and give us good information about how to craft those. We have, the city has a community engagement plan. It's on our website, and there, some of the basics is, you know, one meeting ought to be information only, just inform. And then there's five series of these, but then maybe the second one could be more involved with people, where we could actually hear what people have to say and discuss that, not make any decisions, but have more of an open forum. So I would move to wait until we have the results of the survey, and then to schedule one meeting that is primarily informational, mainly with staff giving information about how the budget is, what's the budget process, what we have input on, what we don't, and then a second one more with what are your priorities for the future?
I'm not a community engagement expert, so my feeling is whoever is shortlisted, the seasoned consultant, bring back what their recommendation is, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 15. I don't know where the corners of the room are on this. I don't know what I don't know, but I know folks that really know this stuff. I would love to have the opportunity to react to. So hopefully that's sooner rather than later.
Oh, so Gloria, I have a question for you. I like your idea very much of the staff presenting information to the public about what the budget is, how it works, you know, the enterprise fund things, because people don't always get that. You know, I've gotten a lot of comments on, why did we spend so much money on the fence? We could have used that to help pay for the water thing. And I was like, those are two separate things, you know. But my suggestion would be, seems like it would be helpful for the, we don't need a facilitator for that. We just, I mean, Denise does that all the time as part of her Citizens Academy stuff. It doesn't have to be as thorough. I'm not saying like 7 hours of information, but it seems very doable to have a meeting maybe before people fill out their survey. If they're filling out their survey and they're uninformed, then the results might be skewed, or I would hope that if the information is in fact relevant to the community engagement process, then it should be just as relevant to people giving their opinions in the survey. So maybe what we could do is have and I don't want to postpone the start date on the survey by any means, but if we could get some kind of a overview of our 200 and something, 300 and something page budget book and have an informational thing at City Hall for anyone who wants to learn about the budget before the survey is launched, then those filling out the survey might be better informed and it might affect their answers and make their answers more reliable. So we could have information, survey, and then if you all want the public engagement to happen after the survey, now we're really looking at like fourth quarter 2026. I don't know if I'm in favor of that, but I just like the idea of the information being provided earlier.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, okay.
I know what you're going to say, but go ahead, Denise.
So
We're too busy.
what
No.
what I'm saying is if you guys give me direction
Exactly.
that you want 2 community engagements, then let me go
And an
work it
educational
and
component.
figure
of some
out
sort.
how to do it and bring that back to you. Because we're making a lot of decisions without all the expertise or without all the facts.
But
So
how
if
can
you
we,
just give me the direction, I'll go figure it out and bring it back.
how can we make that decision though,
Just-
without hearing from a senior, from the expert in the space on community engagement?
Well, I
That's
think
my
if we-
broader question.
Yeah, I think if you say you want community engagement, if that's something you want and you want 2 meetings,
No,
then-
he wants to, but Denise, he wants, instead of us decide, he wants to know, do you think 15 community engagements would be better than 2? And wondering if they might say yes, or do you think 6 would be better than 3? He wants to know if the expert would say yes.
Yeah, I'm
think that's
simply
what he's
saying, council,
suggesting is that we not even decide how many we need until we ask the business that question.
yeah, I mean, that's well said, Counselor. I guess what I'm saying is I'm in full support directionally for you to engage a consultant who then can help support and inform
Mm.
me and potentially other council members on the design of the community engagement. I'm not a community design expert. My expectation is the community design expert would bring back something that we could react to. So that's all.
Yes, I appreciate your comments. I'm going to respectfully disagree with that, though. We don't have the time or money for 15. I mean, we have to make a decision and give Denise direction. This is what she's asking us for. And I think, what do we want? We want the most information for the least cost in the most prudent amount of time. That is what we want. And so I think with the survey and 2 community engagements, I think that we're really going to capture most of everything we want. And I don't think we can do more than 2 in the time frame. And, because the reason I said in my perfect world is that I don't want this to drag into the third quarter of the year, but if it has to, I at least think we need to get 2 community engagement sessions. I don't want to spend more money than that. I think that this will be a reasonable amount of time and money to spend. I think we need to make that decision
And,
tonight.
and so if you would like to actually get a motion on the table, I think that'd be great. And then we can go from there.
Oh, I just wanted to ask Judith a follow-up question, because you had recommended ideally that the community engagement, the first of 2, not start until June the earliest, because you said if end of May is when we're most optimistically likely to get the results of the survey, then the community engagement would be in June.
I think
And-
that Denise is asking that we just give her the number and she can move forward and then she'll come back.
Because I'm not sure, I'm just wondering, I don't think it's necessarily essential that we get the results of the surveys before we meet with people and ask them verbally in person what their preferences are.
So you,
I don't
for
need to go through that.
for clarification, I support the informational meeting if possible, Denise, before the survey goes out. I appreciate Magellan starting in on getting that going ASAP. And I am just willing to give Denise direction to start now on working on the community engagement process and come back to us with her feedback on the earliest time that we can launch that.
Oh, I
Is
would
that?
support that too.
And that is my motion then.
Got a motion and technically a second, okay? All right, and then, so with that, any additional information, feedback?
I just want to make sure that that includes engaging a consultant, whether it's, okay.
And that's correct, right? And then the other part is, I think, is just a reminder that this is just the first step in our community engagement process. This doesn't end at the end of the survey and all of that, that this is just the beginning. So anyway, are we ready for a vote with that? All good? Okay, and a vote. And again, Julie's going to raise her hand or something.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. It is, and thank you for hanging in there. It's one of those things where I think we all have an opinion, so it's good to work through that. Next up, we have receive or act on council correspondence. Okay, you can go first.
I received a video on my text of a business in town that has an unlawful sign with the, what's it called? The electronic sign that's moving and changing and has words on it. It says something like, "We serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner," but it doesn't say it all at once. It kind of scrolls through. And it's at the Armadillo, and I have it on my phone. And I don't know what the fee schedule says about what the violation is for violating our sign ordinance. But it's the Armadillo. I saw it myself when I was driving down here tonight, scrolling. And so the resident was hesitant to submit it to See Click Fix because they didn't want negative repercussions, so I agreed to bring it up myself. But I don't think it matters that it's an anonymous report because anyone can see it. So I wanted to just report that.
So Armadillo Ranch, if you're listening, please change your sign.
Well, yes, and city administrator, if you're listening, please issue the fine. They've already been on notice about it before, and given that they're owned by the chamber, head of the chamber and the former city administrator of the city, they know better.
I'd like to tell you all that the Great Fruitcake Toss was a great success. Nearly 300 people participated this year, so thanks to all of the vendors and Collingwood in Texas, who, believe it or not, a Texas company is a sponsor of our Great Fruitcake Toss. And I also mentioned that Linda Moreland, who's with us tonight, is taken upon herself to start what might be a printed version of news and information that she receives. And she's had some input from Denise to really clarify that it's not a city published issue, that it is a community. To me, it's like Facebook in print. It's a newsletter.
All right. Right, exactly. We just need to clarify that. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, I'll let you go. Which one?
Oh, Nate can go first.
Okay.
I want to echo Counselor Latimer's on the fruitcake toss. It was outstanding, and I was very privileged to be a judge, and I want to congratulate Thisbe for winning the fruitcake toss award. She came in first place. It was really a wonderful event. And I also want to thank the mayor and the council for recognizing Steve Hart's, his contributions as a veteran and as a city fire chief. And the memorial service was absolutely stunning. It was one of the most touching celebrations of life I've been to. It was a beautiful thing. And then I want to call out actually a close friend and neighbor who reached out to me and said, "Hey, I want to show you something that's really important to me." And I said, "Of course, AJ." So we walked down to Shriver Park, And south of the basketball court is this balance beam that I've probably ridden by 1,000 times. And it's a very unique balance beam because it bends. And he proceeded to tell me for the next 50 minutes all the memories that his grandkids, his school friends have had there. And it had come into disrepair. And there was a possibility that it was going to be removed, this balance beam. I said, you know what? I can't guarantee anything, but I have someone that I could maybe send a note to. I sent it to our city administrator, Denise, who reached out to Jillian on her team. They saved the balance beam to create more memories. And for me, it's just a reminder, and I know everyone up here shares this and who's listening, that just small disproportionate things can have such a big, meaningful impact. And since that occurred, and thank you, Denise, and to your team, I've since asked people about this balance beam. And it's unbelievable the number of people that know this beam and have shared it with their kids and create a lot of memories. So I wanted to share that with everyone.
Right. Pro Tem.
I want to give kudos to Denise tonight. I really appreciate, a resident came to me with an issue that had been ongoing for a month regarding their water meter install. And, they were reluctant to reach out. And so I, didn't know what else to do. And I called Denise, and within hours, their issue with their water meter install was taken care of. And they thanked me profusely. And I said, please thank Denise profusely. I was just the messenger, so I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay, you got another?
But
Okay.
one more quick thing, there's a survey out about the bus line, the number 3 bus between Manitou and Colorado Springs. So please look for that, fill it out. Right now, they're considering keeping that bus line free for us.
Excellent. Yeah, they better not take that away. All right, a couple things. One, do we want to keep the retreat that is currently scheduled for February 28th? I believe that we have plenty of topics that are not directly related to the budget. We could talk about things like our special projects and interests. We could talk about a framework for community engagement. We could talk about economic development. We could potentially talk about the fee schedule on a high level in terms of what we believe the fee schedule should and should not do. Is that something that you all would like me to move forward with creating an agenda for on February 28th? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
But not all of those things.
Yes. I mean, I will reach out to you about those items, but I just wanted to discuss that. So, okay, excellent. We'll move forward with that. And then, let's see, what else do I have? Our next work session. So we had been doing work sessions at 5 p.m. So currently on the 10th, we do have our work session beginning at 5 p.m. Does that still work for all of us? It does not work for you? Okay. Oh, yeah, but so you're just not out of town, period. The timing, that whether we start at 5 or 6 does not matter. You are not available. Okay. So I hate to say this, but I don't really care. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. So we're good. So I know. So, okay. So Tuesday, the 10th, we will start at 5 p.m. And then just a reminder that the day before on the 9th, we will have a pool ribbon cutting at 11 a.m. So I hope you can join us for that. A pool ribbon cutting to open up the pool. So, and then I can share more about this, but the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments is looking for a new community advisor committee member. Carrie Storm was the previous appointee, so we do need a new person for that. So if any of you on council know of anyone who might be interested, let me or Denise know. And if not, we will put that out to the community. And we do have 2 people that do that for us. So, and it'd be great if Carrie were here because she could then tell you a little bit about her experience with that. So we may you know, that that's coming too. So I think that's all I've got. Are we good? Good for, okay. Denise, you're up.
Yeah, Natalie says she's going to jump in the pool on the 9th. So
I am going to jump on the pool because I have never been invited to a pool ribbon cutting before. And so it's happening.
okay. I just want to remind everybody the Citizens Academy is online to register. We already have numerous registrations. So please, public start, we're going to start in March and it will last for, I think, 10 or 11 weeks. Great opportunity to learn about the city. You attended, Nate attended, and Carrie all attended. So encourage people to please sign up for that.
All right, excellent. Okay, and with that, I would like a motion to move into an executive session. This is an executive session to hold a conference with the city attorney for legal advice pursuant to section 5.1C of the City of Manitou Springs Home Rule Charter concerning Manitou and Pikes Peak Railway Company versus City of Manitou Springs, Colorado, El Paso County District Court Case number 2025 CV 30766. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Great, and a vote.
Yes.
All right.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, excellent. We will get ready for executive session.